and on Wednesday, October 13th, 1954, his remains were brought to Jamestown and lay in state at St. Luke's Church, where the funeral was held that afternoon with burial in the Maple Grove Cemetery, Frewsburg, New York. What year were you born?
1946. Raised in Warren, Warren, Pennsylvania. We were sitting out on the back porch, and who knows what, with family yakking and probably listening to Amos and Andy or something on the radio. That particular evening we had heard that this train was coming through in the morning, a special train which would have the Chief Justice on it, and he would be taken off and met by the American Legion and taken off to the funeral in Jamestown. One paper reported it was going to be at 7, the other one said at 8. Well, they came in early. It was very dark, and we were down there a half hour before they arrived.
At the train station?
At the train station in Warren. So we waited quite a while, and train pulls in. Cars were not real visible. It was pretty dark yet, and so we were right there where the baggage car was. And one guy rolled the wagons. They're a pretty high wagon, maybe 3 foot high. They're probably 42-inch wheels on them or something, I would think. And he rolled it out across the bricks, got it right in front of the opening of the freight car, and they opened up the door. There's a young fella in there. I could point him out in a photograph there, and he, by himself, dragged the casket towards him, and on the floor of the rail car, and then he pushed it. He had the casket halfway out of the rail, the car itself, the rail car, the freight car, and it was maybe that far dropped to where the wagon was. There was my dad, myself, my brother, one guy who looked like he worked at Struthers Wells. So it was pretty darn heavy. And so the one guy got the idea that my brother should get up and stand on this cart, and he could grab the middle of the casket. Well, the guy in the rail car picked up the one end, and my dad and the other man picked up the other end, and they moved it over and lowered it down onto I'll just call it a gurney, but whatever it was a
freight cart.
Freight cart anyway, wagon, and it had a little handle in the front. It came down, and you kind of steered it this way, and so anyway, we got, for some reason, I don't really fully understand yet, but they all raised it as high as they could raise it. And so as soon as all this started, I jumped up on the cart also. So my brother was on one side of the middle, I was on the other, and we're trying to hold this heavy, it felt like it was full of rocks or something. And we finally got it down and onto the car. And my brother and I jumped down, and we waited and waited and waited for the Falconer American Legion to show. We thought this was going to be a big pageantry thing, and I guess you'd call them a color guard. They weren't all the same uniform, like one was Army, Navy, and Marine and so forth. They draped the flag over his casket, so that the casket was covered completely with an American flag. And they picked it up and marched in step over to the hearse and lowered it down and put it on the casters and pushed it into the hearse and closed the door. Somehow later in the day we were in Jamestown. And we went by the church, and the funeral, of course, had been over and done with by then. And then we drove down to Frewsburg and to the gravesite, and I got out of the car and walked around, looked at all the flowers.
You and your brother and your dad, this would have been real early in the morning, wouldn't it have been?
Yes.
To go to the train station.
Yes.
Help the casket get off onto a train cart, freight cart.
Yeah.
And then wait around for a color guard to come, drape the casket with a flag, take it, put it into the hearse.
Yes.
And then later that same day, you're in Jamestown, and you drive by the church where the body had just been.
Correct.
And then you go to the interment area, which is the cemetery, and see that.
Yes.
You saw from beginning to end that whole Warren County, Chautauqua County episode.
Well, just about everything but the funeral itself, I guess you could say, yes. Kind of a pretty lucky individual. We walked away I would say we were wagging our tails because we felt proud that we had contributed in such a little event like moving the casket from point A to B. Yet we were there and we had participated in something that was quite eventful.